Now, before starting with the book, it's important for us to know more about the author, as we know about his credentials to give his research, his findings, his studies more credibility. So, Gary Wilson has taught human pathology, anatomy, and physiology for years. He has been interested in the neurochemistry of addiction, mating, and bonding. In 2015, the Society for the Advancement of Sexual Health presented him with an outstanding award for his contribution to the public education of pornography addiction. He presented a 2012 TEDx talk, The Great Porn Experiment, which, as of recording this particular video, has been viewed 16 million plus times and has been translated into multiple languages. He has been host to a website, Your Brain on Porn, which was created for those seeking to understand and reverse compulsive porn use. In addition to this, he has co-authored an academic paper with 7 US Navy doctors entitled Is Internet Pornography Causing Sexual Dysfunctions? A review with clinical reports, and another journal article titled Eliminate Chronic Internet Pornography Use to Reveal Its Effects. And he donates these proceeds from this book to a registered charity that aims to raise awareness of internet porn's unprecedented effects. So that being said, there is a preface mentioned in the book that specifically tells us that any advice given in this particular book is not substitute for any professional medical advice, and it is only for educational purposes. It tells us that you should always seek the advice and the services of a physician or other healthcare provider for any existing treatment or discontinuing an existing treatment. And if you have any further questions, you should talk with them to your healthcare provider. That being said, as this is an updated and probably the second edition of the book, we have an updated foreword also, which tells us that the first edition of book, after it was finalized, a lot of new research has come up on this issue. The author tells us that in 2010 he created the website called www.yourbrainonporn.com, and at that particular point of time, apart from him, there were very few individuals who were studying the use of neuroplasticity and the malleability of our brain to combat the issue of internet porn users. Only perhaps Norman Doidge, in his book The Brain That Changes Itself, talked about more of this issue at that particular time. He was using these principles to basically understand various negative things that were being caused to these individuals, such as sexual dysfunctions, morphing sexual tastes, and symptoms of addiction. And these symptoms of addiction were causing a lot of negative consequences, such as withdrawal symptoms, and a lot of time the tolerance level was increasing of individuals, which was leading to more severe watching material related to porn. And in his first edition, he talks about existing studies which at that point of time show us that even clicking on Facebook or playing slot machine could lead to addiction. So think about how much dopamine releases from porn. So porn can obviously then lead to a more severe addiction. Then he tells us that he has used a lot of anecdotes of men from his website and other sources, and these self-reports, he has said that they are an informative piece of evidence to show the ill effects of porn and how it can cause detriments in the life of individuals. Now, what's different in this edition, or since the time the first edition was written, is the fact that there have been multiple new studies which have been published. For example, multiple studies, neurological studies on porn users and how habituation of porn comes about withdrawal symptoms, many studies about how porn addiction leads to sexual problems, erectile dysfunction, and so on and so forth. So now, in the present day and age, internet porn use is recognized as a plausible culprit for many problems related to, let's say, erectile dysfunction and other such things. But that being said, still some scientists feel that the evidence is not enough, and more research is needed to come to a concrete conclusion. That being the case, still the International Classification of Diseases Manual, or ICD-11, which is one of the landmarks when it comes to recognizing mental illnesses and other such things, has mentioned in its ICD-11 edition a diagnosis for compulsive sexual behavior disorder, which can be used for diagnosis of pornography. And there have been various statistics also that have been now come to uh, limelight, such as urologists which deal with the urinary infections and other such instances, seeking a remarkable decline in the average age of their patients, which might or might not have relation to, let's say, porn use, along with the fact that about a study in the young Australians' use of pornography reported that 100% of the young men aged between 15 to 29 have viewed porn, and 82% of the young women have also viewed porn. Along with that, the age of first viewing has continued to drop, with 69% of males and 23% of females first viewing porn at the age of 13 or younger years. This has also led to a lot of places calling in action, such as a lot of US states have passed, apologies, not a lot, a handful of US states have passed resolutions declaring internet porn use a public health crisis and are calling for further action. And in the UK also, independent age verification is now required to enter porn sites, and these developments tell us that porn's potential harms uh, can are now being discussed and debated. So this particular foreword has been written by Gary Wilson in the August of 2017. So I think that a lot of new research might have come about from 2017 to 2023, and perhaps an updated edition is something that Gary Wilson might or might not be working upon.